Hey guys, my name's Nick Sivrich. I'm a physical therapist, and I want to go over this week's question of the week with you. This question of the week is, what is the rotator cuff? So I get this question quite a bit because people come in and say, I have shoulder pain. The doctor said I have a rotator cuff tear, or they'll say, I have a rotor cup. There's all different types of names that people come up with. I have a rotor tear, rotor cuff tear, whatever. And a lot of people just don't know what it is. They just know they have shoulder pain. They know they can't lift their arm, and they want to know why. A lot want to know, what does the rotator cuff do? What is the exact thing that it does for you, and what are the movements that it does? So basically, the rotator cuff is 4 muscles, okay? And they all sit on the shoulder blade. 3 of them sit on the back side of it, and 1 sits underneath it. And basically they all come over and they attach on your humerus at some point on it, on the head of it. And what it's there for, obviously it's called a rotator cuff, okay? It helps to rotate and lift the arm. So, one of the muscles helps lift it up, up in front, out to the side. Some of them help you rotate outwards. It's called external rotation. Some help you rotate inwards, internal rotation. So, a lot of times people say, I can't reach behind my back. And then, you go over the MRI results with them. You go over your exam with them. You say, well, this is the specific muscle that is torn, and this is the action that it does. And that's the reason why you can't go behind your back, or that's the reason why you're so weak pushing outwards or lifting your arm up and things like that. So basically the rotator cuff itself, yes, it rotates. It's called the rotator cuff for a reason, but its main job is to stabilize, okay? It's to stabilize that ball joint from going anywhere. Now there's other things around the shoulder. There's cartilage, there's the labrum, which is the cartilage around the joint. There's ligaments that also hold that into place. And there's other bigger muscles, your deltoid muscle, things that come and form over top of it to try and hold it. But the main job of the rotator cuff is to stabilize. And its secondary job is to actually move your arm and rotate it. So what I try to explain to people, because people say, well, my shoulder doesn't feel like it's sitting properly, or I'll get to a certain point and it doesn't want to go any further. It feels like it needs to crack, or it just feels like it's just not there. It doesn't feel right. So basically what it is I explain it to it this. So say you have a ball and you put it in the middle of the air, okay? And you have a string on each side, 4 ways, okay? It's holding that ball in the middle, right? Well, if you take some scissors and clip one of those, the ball is going to move and it's going to pull in the other directions. So what the rotator cuff does is it does the same thing. So it holds that ball into the socket. Well, if one of those muscles is torn, it's going to move it a little bit. Now, it's not going to be as drastic as a ball in the air would be, but that's the example I give because it's going to pull, even if it's a millimeter difference in that joint, it's going to seat different in that joint, it's going to rub different in that joint, it's not going to allow for clearance for the different bones that it has to move around in that joint, and that'll cause pain. It'll also cause weakness because that muscle isn't working properly, and the other 3 muscles have to pick up the slack. So, that's a lot of the reason why people can't lift their arm because of the tear, but also because the muscles aren't working in a synchronized form in order to fit that ball into the joint and kind of keep it there. And they have to kind of work overtime, and they get fatigued and they get tired, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So I hope that helped this week, guys. If you have any questions, if I didn't cover something in that question that you have something specific about, if you have a tear, if you're having trouble, if you need advice on what to do, even if it's an exercise or something that you can do in order to relieve some of your pain, please reach out to me. So otherwise, have a great week, guys, and thanks.